Welcome to Mental Health Breakthroughs for Young Adults and Families. I'm your host, Carey Conley. This podcast is dedicated to helping young adults navigate through the challenges and learning curves that they're experiencing in every area of life. My personal episodes will be dedicated to helping you with getting clarity, direction, moving through adversity, and living with purpose and hope. I will also be bringing you amazing guests to discuss topics such as finances, career choices, relationships, grief, addiction, positive mindset, mental health, and more. I am on a mission to help you live a life that you love and have the confidence to go after your dreams. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Mental Health Breakthroughs for Young Adults and their Families. I thought I would take this opportunity to just do a solo episode, no guests today, because it is Suicide Prevention Month. And for those of you who know anything about my story, you know that I have lost two family members to suicide over the past 10 years. I lost my husband in 2014. And then 3 years after that, I lost my 25-year-old son. And so I thought I would take this opportunity to tell you a little bit more about my story, to shed some light on suicide and my story, my journey, but to leave you with some hope. For those of you who have maybe gone through what I've gone through, lost a loved one or a family member, there's so many of us now that have been touched by this epidemic, or you're somebody that is mentally struggling yourself. I want to first and foremost tell you that I am not clinically trained in this. I'm not medically trained. If you are really, truly suffering, I hope that you will reach out to somebody immediately and talk through your emotions of what you're going through, or if you really need some help, the suicide crisis line is 988. So with that disclaimer, I'm just going to share with you, 2 or 3 questions that I get the most. Once people learn my journey, and I've been very public about this for a long time because a lot of people don't realize that I've been a speaker way before all this happened. I've been teaching the importance of having a vision and a purpose for your life for unofficially over 30 years, officially the past 13 years. And when all this happened, so many people come forward to me. Daily, I get messages in one form or another around a couple of things. One, the first question I get asked a lot is, did I see this coming? What were the signs? What do I feel were the factors that led them to take their life? And I think they're looking for the simple answer, and I have to tell you, my friends, that there is not one answer. I know so many times we want to point to that this is a mental disease, and that is a factor. Sometimes it has a lot to do with the amount of stress they're under, changes, major changes, some kind of trauma. There's so many factors that lead into this that I can't pinpoint it to one thing, most especially in my own circumstance, because with my husband and my son, when people ask me were there signs, my answer is very simply, did I know they were struggling? Yes, I did. Did I feel like they would ever think about taking their life? Not in a million years. And most of the people who knew my husband and my son, if not all of them, would tell you that they never saw it coming either. So I just want to shed some light on that, we try and I think they want some answers to bullet points or, what specific things should I be watching on? And obviously you can Google that and find all sorts of information on what to look for that are obvious, but it's not always obvious. And it definitely wasn't in my case. So the factors are complicated, and I wish I could give you a simpler answer, but there just isn't one. And that's why I think we need to be better at connecting with one another on a human level. Been talking a lot about that in my recent podcasts with some of the guests that I've had on that are also on a mission like I am to change the trajectory of suicide in this epidemic. We need more human connection now more than ever. And unfortunately, what happens when people are spiraling, maybe not even to the depth of thinking about taking their life, is that we isolate, probably because we fear of what people will think. There's a lot of pride involved. We don't want to worry our loved ones. We don't want to maybe make that connection for fear of, I'm going to take this other person down with me. There's so much attached to the fact that the reasons why we're isolating, and it's really sad that we have loneliness at the highest level ever in our country, in all age groups, in young kids and in seniors. And loneliness is a big factor in mental health. I'll talk about it in one of the episodes you're going to listen to this month. So in my journey, That's probably the biggest question I get is what caused it? Did we see it happening? The second biggest question I get is how in the world are you still standing? How are you surviving through all this? And what are the things that have helped you? So it's been almost 7 years. Well, it's been 7 years now since losing my son. And like I said earlier, 10 years since I lost my husband. And looking back on it, I think there were a lot of things that helped me early on while we were processing the shock mostly, and then the grief of the loss and all the changes in our family dynamic. And what helped a lot for me, honestly, was I had a lot of prayer and quiet time. I needed to really go inward and just kind of process what I was going through, pray a lot that God would help me get through it. I know a lot of people urged me to get counseling and therapy. I did a little of that. My daughter got a lot of help from getting into communities and support groups. So it was a day-by-day process at that point. And I had a lot of people helping me through it, a lot of people that I trusted. And I knew that they would walk with me for the long haul, not for just the getting through the memorial service and sending me a few texts afterward and then not hearing from them ever again. I learned a lot in this journey. And one of those things I learned is that if you have a few people that are, man, they're going to walk through anything with you for the long haul, that's a blessing. So many, many years later, obviously, have processed through a lot, have talked to a lot of people, have created this mission. I now find a lot of help through this purpose that I'm on. Turning my pain into this purpose has been probably the most critical thing that I have done to help me get out of bed every morning, to help me get through the tough days. And trust me, I do. I know on the outside, publicly, we always make things look like, you know, we've got this going on. We got it all figured out. We're doing fine. And I think to a big degree, not in the right direction. This is not a great face to always be painting. So I'm going to be really clear with you that I have had days where it's tough. And they do get to where there are longer lengths of time in between. But when I have those days, I have two people that I can call that will pick up the phone day and night, no matter what, and will walk me through the process. But as I move through the journey of not having those days as much in my life on much of a regular basis, what gets me up out of bed every morning gives me joy, literally joy, keeps me inspired, propels me to keep talking to you all like I do, is this purpose that I'm on right now. And I want to really encourage you that if you are somebody right now that you've got some seriously challenging circumstances going on in your life, I want you to remember that today is just a day. Tomorrow it can be better. When we focus on making it better, having hope, having, again, the right people in our life, and really having a vision for what's to come that is bigger than you. That, my friends, I have found has been the key for me and for a lot of the people that I've worked with, that I've spoken in front of, that I've coached, that I've done podcasts for. My anchor is the vision that I have, not only of what I'm doing every day right now, but of what I'm creating and the impact I want to make over the next 6 months, the next year, the next 3 years. And I think some people, no matter how much I talk about writing out a vision, why it's so important, just don't do it. They don't see why it's important. They don't see that it can really make that big of a difference. And I'm here to tell you it does. So if you've never taken the opportunity to, first of all, address the feelings that you're having, identify them, talk to somebody about them, get them out there, start connecting with each other on a human level, start identifying what your emotions are, and working through what is it that I really want my life to look like. So I found that when you have a written vision, there's a few things that are hidden there. One is that you start identifying what's really real for you. What do you really want? I will tell you, in the case with me and my husband and my son, a lot of what was happening with them is that their roles, their identity was shifting. And we see this a lot, especially with athletes, when all of a sudden that role that was their whole identity goes away or changes or stops abruptly for some reason. It starts to put a question in your mind of, okay, well, who am I really if I'm not this role? And when I have people write out their vision, I ask them to really think about, what do you really want? Not what everybody else told you to do, not what your teachers told you to do, not what your parents told you to do, not what your peers are expecting you to do, is what do you really want? Because in finding that out, you get connected to the real you. And in that connection to the real you is your purpose. There's a little hidden gem I tell all my clients, that when you write out the vision, it's not about all the things that you want, the dream house, the vacations, all those things also are wrapped up into roles and aren't real, not sustainable anyway. When you get real about who you are and what you really want, it will reveal your purpose to you. So a little bit more about my backstory is that when I was in my late 20s, I was doing what we were all told to do. I came out of college with a business degree, went into the business world, and all of us were doing the same thing with the expectation that we were just going to, work for this company, work up the ranks. And I wasn't doing it very well. Most of my peers, including my husband, were all doing that role really well. I was changing jobs every 2 years because I just could not find the right job. And it was in about, late 80s, like I said earlier, 1988. I was in my late 20s then. I had a mentor come into my life that for the first time told me that I could create whatever I wanted my life to look like. I just had to get really clear on what that was and write it out. And so I took a day, and with a legal pad of paper, like I have in front of me now, I wrote out what I wanted, what I dreamt of, what was really important to me. And again, it wasn't about the things. A lot of it was about the kind of person I wanted to become, the kind of leader I wanted to be, what kind of mom I wanted to be. It was a lot about who I was being and not so much what I was doing and having. And when I wrote that out, literally on one of the pieces of paper, out of the first time ever, out of the blue, I wrote that someday I wanted to teach other people the importance of having a written vision. There was the hidden gem. Because fast forward now 30 years later or more, I now know why I wrote that. It was my purpose. And so I have become so anchored in that it's so much bigger than anything else. And where we get really tripped up is that we don't have a vision beyond what we're just doing today or beyond the circumstances we're in. Where we get caught is not having a ray of hope, something that is inspiring you every day to get up over those circumstances and to put some daily action in place to just take baby steps every day. So once we get the big vision figured out, it becomes, all right, how do I now break down, let's say, what I want 3 years from now into just taking tiny little steps every day towards that direction, no matter what's going on in my life at this moment. So I want to encourage you, my friends, that if you have never taken the opportunity to really sit down, especially if you are in a space right now where you've got some challenging thoughts going on, some challenging financial situations, some toxic relationships you're in that you need to change, whatever those things are that you need to change, I want to encourage you guys today to not let another day go by that you don't take the time for yourself and for your loved ones to figure out what you are really about. And go after working on creating that person that you want to become. It will change your mental focus. It will change your environment. And I do believe that it will change the trajectory of the suicide disease that we have going on right now. So thanks for listening to this episode today. I hope that you will stand by and listen to how you can get involved in my Vision is Victory Academy. And as always, I'm here to remind you to keep looking up. Design the life you've always dreamed of with Viva, Vision is Victory Academy. Join us and discover how to transform your vision into victory. Whether you're seeking clarity, resilience, or a path to personal growth, Viva is here to guide you every step of the way. Don't wait for life to happen to you. Make it happen with Viva. Sign up today at visionisvictoryacademy.com and take the first steps towards a life of purpose and passion. Your future self will thank you.